Welcome back to Cityscape. In today's episode of Secret People, we will cover Richard Marcinko, a former Navy SEAL commander and Vietnam War veteran. The SEALs are arguably the most prestigious special force operators in the world, but being a SEAL commander is not why Richard Marcinko stands out as a secret person. His work in the special warfare community makes him a pioneer worthy of public attention. He is also known for writing a New York Times bestseller, a book called Rogue Warrior, which we will get into later in the episode. Another cool fact is that Mr. Marcinko is the first person in our series who is still alive today, making him a living secret. As always, let's start with a brief background. Richard Marcinko was born on November 21, 1940. He is from Lansford, Pennsylvania, and is of Slovak descent, his parents being from Slovakia. At a young age, Marcinko and his family moved to New Brunswick, New Jersey. Marcinko was not particularly fond of school. He dropped out of high school and tried to enlist in the Marine Corps, but was rejected due to lacking a high school diploma. He then tried the Navy, successfully enlisting himself as a radio man. Of course, operating radios was not what Marcinko wanted to do, so he applied to the Navy's underwater demolition team training in 1961. After graduating, he served as UDT until he was selected for officer commissioning in 1965. On a side note here, the SEALs were formed in 1962. So Richard Marcinko was initially part of a naval unit known as the Underwater Demolition Team, or UDT for short. Every man from UDT was pulled to form the first SEAL teams, SEAL Team 1 and 2.
We all knew that was just one way to improve our odds for survival. Train, train, train. Sometimes, if your training is probably intense, it will kill you. More often, much, much more often, it will save your life.
On January 1967, Marcinko deployed to Vietnam with 2nd Platoon, SEAL Team 2, for a 6-month deployment. Marcinko led his men in an assault on Lo Lo Han, where they killed a large number of Viet Congs and destroyed 6 of their sampans. This assault will be called one of the most successful SEAL operations by the US Navy.
You got your squad and try in to the left.
Marcinko was awarded the first of his 4 Bronze Stars, a Silver Star, and a Vietnam Cross of Gallantry for this action. I can go on and on about Marcinko's numerous other engagements in Cambodia, but I would like to pivot as to why Marcinko is a very special frogman. In 1979, 52 US diplomats and citizens were held hostage by a group of militarized Iranians at the US Embassy in Tehran. President Jimmy Carter ordered the military to attempt a rescue mission, Operation Eagle Claw. This mission was a joint Army-Navy operation. The rescue mission was tried on April 24, 1980, and it was an abysmal failure. After a review from 6 senior military personnel led by Admiral James Holloway III, it was concluded that the overriding issue was operational security. In other words, the mission was not kept secret enough. As a result, Marcinko was selected by the Chief of Naval Operations to start a special unit to conduct counter-terrorism and hostage rescue missions. Marcinko would name this unit SEAL Team 6. It is also known as DEVGRU. Many of the famous counter-terrorist missions we've heard of in mainstream have been done by DEVGRU, such as the mission to kill bin Laden, or the successful rescue of American hostage Jesse Buchanan in Somalia.
At one point, I think they thought they heard something, or I don't know, this group of men who's risked their life for me already asks me to lie down on the ground because they're concerned that there might be someone out there, and then they make a circle around me and then they lie down on top of me to protect me. And we lay like that until the helicopters come in.
When all of those SEALs laid down on top of you, you were the most important thing in the world to them.
It's really hard to comprehend.
They were going to take a bullet for you.
Mm-hmm. And they're so kind, and they're so gentle, and they are trying to assist me to get to the helicopter. But I think I've been out here for months. I can run to this helicopter myself, and so I just break away and I just take off running through the scrub, through the bush, and I throw myself onto that helicopter and push myself up against the wall. And I don't start breathing until we actually lift up off the ground. And they hand me an American flag that's folded.
What did you think of that?
I just started to cry. At that point in time, I have never in my life been so proud and so very happy to be an American.
Again, SEAL Team 6, or DEVGRU, was founded by Richard Marcinko. After commanding SEAL Team 6 for 3 years, Marcinko relinquished his command and was tasked by Admiral James Lyons to again form a new unit. The job of this team was to test the Navy's own vulnerabilities to terrorism. This unit would be known as Red Cell. Red Cell members would travel and demonstrate the vulnerabilities of Navy bases around the country. They would use false IDs, breach secure perimeters, take hostages, and even kidnap and mildly torture high-ranking military personnel. One such instance is where Red Cell members captured the security chief of a naval base for 24 hours, took him to a hotel, then verbally and physically assaulted him. The security chief would later file a lawsuit against the Navy for the torture he was subjected to, costing the Navy millions of dollars. Additionally, Red Cell planted bombs near Air Force One, snuck into nuclear submarines and took them over, and recorded the infiltration as they were doing it, every time. Their actions humiliated many naval commanders and created a lot of enemies for Marcinko.
Before being given command of Red Cell, Marcinko had led an elite team of SEALs, Navy, Sea, Air, and Land Commandos, whose mission was to hunt down enemy terrorists all over the world, and that experience taught him how to be a terrorist. Marcinko took us up the Thames River in Connecticut to show how easy it had been for Red Cell to penetrate this high-security submarine base 6 years ago.
We had swimmers got out of the water, got on the pier, and so our 2 guys coming down the pier took out the guard at the foot of the pier.
Took him out. What do you mean, took him out?
Walked up to him, says,
You're my man?
You're my man, had a gun in his back, and were able to go down into the hatch and planted fake charges and took pictures of the bow planes to demonstrate that we were there. Came back out, got back in the water, and went away. Where this first submarine is right here, that is the same berth or pier that we took out, that actually got on board.
This one right here?
Yes.
What Marcinko and his Red Cell team of Navy SEALs proved was that real terrorists could capture a U.S. nuclear submarine, take it out to sea, and fire its missiles back at the U.S. And proving that did not endear him to the high brass of the U.S. Navy. Nor did proving that Air Force One, the president's plane, was vulnerable to sabotage. You might think there is nothing more sensitive, nothing more secure than the president's plane. Not to Red Cell, not while Ronald Reagan was president.
You actually took command of Air Force One, or no?
No. The rules of engagement would not allow us to play with that. What we were able to do was to steal a military vehicle and a pallet load of 500-pound bombs. And the day that Air Force One was to leave, we took it and parked it next to the access ramp where Air Force One was. The footprint of the shock wave would have taken out Air Force One.
What Marcinko is saying is that they could have blown up the plane of the President of the United States.
As embarrassing as Red Cell actions were to military personnel, it served the great purpose at revealing naval base vulnerabilities. Many of the unclassified infiltrations performed by Marcinko during Red Cell are covered in his book, Rogue Warrior, a book I've personally read and thoroughly enjoyed. Link is in the description. Marcinko's Navy career was not all glitter, however. In October 1989, he was actually convicted for conspiracy and conflict of interest in connection to $113,000 paid to Aramco International, a company set up by Marcinko. He was sentenced to 21 months in federal prison and fined $10,000. Marcinko maintained that he was the subject of a witch hunt for the work he's done with Red Cell. He embarrassed several high-ranking naval officers by revealing command weaknesses, and this was their way of getting even. After prison, Marcinko has gone on to write books, publish DVDs accounting his Red Cell operations, and hosts a radio talk show. He is also a military consultant and occasionally does motivational speaking. Today, Marcinko lives near Alexandria, Virginia. He is 80 years old and is pretty much a living secret. Upon driving up to his property, the welcome sign reads, "Trespassers will be shot. Survivors, shot again." Who would have thought a high school dropout, rejected by the Marine Corps, would go on to found the most elite SEAL team in the world? I guess Eric Hoffer was right. New frontiers are indeed founded by misfits. See you next time.